Next layer is realizing that there is no escaping the consequences of your history, and realizing that those consequences are in fact being imposed upon you right now, especially in America, but in Europe too. I mean, look at Europe. It's falling apart. Europe is falling apart. They're going extinct, and even their own natural extinction isn't fast enough for them. They're rushing towards war and conflict on the continent. Macron just told hospitals in France that they need to be ready for a European war by next year. War with Russia. They're tearing their own societies apart. They're impoverishing themselves. They're enslaving themselves. They're deindustrializing themselves. They're being asset stripped. Exactly what they did to the people that they colonized. Europe is tumbling into the abyss of their own making. But America, the imperial heir of Europe, the neoliberal economic firing squad of corporate power, they used to spray their bullets like a mass shooter all across the global south, all across the Muslim world, all across Africa, all across so-called Latin America. Well, America is descending into madness. You're descending into madness because you're cursed. That's why I've said you cannot properly analyze geopolitics. You cannot properly analyze geopolitics if you exclude the reality of divine justice. You cannot exclude God from your assessments. You can't exclude Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from your forecasts. And you cannot be as unjust, as brutal, as degenerate, as wicked as America has been, and actually think that the consequences are not going to be severe. You understand? The suffering of whole continents at your hands is going to ricochet back onto America. I said you're cursed. You know it and I know it. That's the truth. We both know this. Because you can't have any sort of religious sense, any religious sense of justice, and not know that. Even if you call yourself a Christian, if you call yourself believing in God in any way whatsoever, you cannot pretend that you don't know that America is cursed, and it has been cursed ever since you all landed over there in the first place and started massacring the indigenous people and stealing their land. What your Zionist brigades are doing to the Palestinians right now is just a fraction of what you did to the Native Americans. What Hitler did was a fraction of what you did, in fact. And you really think that you were going to be able to escape the consequences of that? Of course not. Obviously not. Why do you even think for a minute that you could escape the consequences of decimating millions upon millions of people? To think that you would get away with that, wallahi, to even think that you could get away with that, to even think that you would never be held accountable for that is blasphemy. It's blasphemous for you to think that you could get away scot-free. Especially when you have never even done anything ever since then, except to compound the wrongdoing and to add to your record of crimes. You understand me? You have done nothing to atone. You haven't done anything to atone for what you have done. You and I both know that. Genocide, chattel slavery, rape, torture, lynching, murder, dehumanization, discrimination, segregation, exploitation, subjugation, war all around the world. Why, what sort of a God do you worship that would turn a blind eye to all of that? What kind of a God did you have in mind when you say God bless America? Because I know you're not talking about the God. I know you're not talking about the creator of the universe. Bless America for what? Bless America for what? If you did what you did and then say God bless America, that's just another blasphemy. Well, you're taking the Lord's name in vain when you say God bless America. That's the truth. You can't invoke God to bless what he has prohibited. You can't invoke God to bless what he punishes, to bless what causes his wrath. You have been worshiping someone else entirely, something else entirely. You have taken a whole other being as your God. If you actually think that your actions merit any sort of blessing, no one would bless what you have done as a nation except Iblis. No one would approve of what you have done except for the devil himself. That's why I told you that. And why you need to know. You need to understand this about your society. The West has been worshiping the jinn. They've been worshiping the shayateen ever since prehistory, like I said. And that formed the whole character, the whole ethos of their so-called civilization. You can't properly understand the West if you don't understand that. Honestly, you can't be dismissive about that. And like I said last time, this is in fact exactly why they are almost the only people in the whole world who pretend that the devil doesn't exist. They're almost the only people. They're the only people. The people in the Muslim world, the people in Africa, the people in Latin America, the people in Asia. Everyone knows this is real. Even in places like Russia and China, after decades of state-imposed atheism, most people there even also still accept this reality. Different people in different places call the jinn different things, sure. demons, ghosts, fairies, spirits, whatever the case may be. But we know the reality. We know the reality of the unseen. But your so-called civilization insists on denying it. Exactly the same way that they deny everything else that's true about reality, that's true about themselves. Well, their denial is conspicuous in this way. It's a protective, defensive denial. Because no one else is more closely aligned, in fact, and more subservient to the shayateen as much as your society. So that denial is part of what is expected of you. That's part of the cover-up that is expected of you. And that's just par for the course with you, because anyway, you cover up everything already as it is. Now listen, again, I'm not attacking you. Understand me. Please understand me. If your house is on fire and I come to tell you that your house is burning and you need to get out, are you going to get defensive because you think I'm insulting your house? Use your mind. There's a poison gas leak in your building, and your building manager is trying to tell you that everything is fine, and I'm trying to tell you that it's going to kill you. You tell me which one of us, me or that manager, cares more about you and more about your welfare and your well-being. Don't get mad at me. Well, I think that the gas has already gotten to your brain. If you can't think straight enough to know that I'm trying to tell you something for your own good, look, I'm telling you, there is no way to escape the consequences. Okay, I didn't do this to you. Your ancestors did this to you. Your own ancestors did this to you. Your ancestors and your leaders today, your media today, your schools today. Like I said, recognizing and acknowledging the reality of what your ancestors really did and what they really were, and yes, who they really worshiped, understanding that is just the first layer. And as soon as someone accepts this reality, that layer, they just accept that. Then they'll jump immediately to, well, how do we make a change? I'm not like my ancestors. Isn't that good enough? How do we make a change so that we can avoid these negative consequences? Because they haven't accepted that second layer, that most important second layer, which is that the consequences cannot be avoided, cannot be evaded, cannot be resisted, and cannot be defied. The punishment is already underway in America. And like I said, at least one element of that punishment is madness. The society is being driven into madness, just like the syphilitic monarchs of your history. I don't even mean this metaphorically. No, I'm talking quite literally. The society is going insane. I mean, look at any old film clip. I don't mean old Hollywood movies. I don't mean that. I mean, like, look at old interviews, old footage of people talking like in, say, the early 1900s, for example. Listen to them. Listen to how they talk. Listen to the clarity and listen to the sobriety of their voices and their facial expressions. Now open TikTok. Open Instagram. Well, if you took someone from 2025 and you send them back to 1925, no matter what they were talking about, everyone would think that they are drunk. Everyone would think that these were mad people, unhinged, unstable, volatile, wild people. Even 50 years ago, they would have that impression. Do you know that according to the previous mental health standards, at least half of the American public today, at least half would be diagnosed as mentally having a mental illness or psychological disorder. And I mean, even according to the modern standards, it's not far from that. Roughly a quarter of all Americans have been diagnosed with some sort of a psychological or mental disorder, and about half of all young people. And I'm telling you, this is the toll of your history. That's what this is. This is the devil taking his due. Don't you know your own folklore? Don't you know about the devil taking payment in the form of your progeny? Those stories don't come out of nowhere. It's the story of your so-called civilization. Your ancestors sold you out for the sake of pomp and splendor in their day. They sold you out so they could sip their mint julep tea on the veranda of some great plantation house in the American South, while human beings were being whipped and being raped and being treated like animals. They sold you out so that they could have their steal their land and have their homesteads and their farms and their ranches soaked in the blood of Native Americans. They sold you out so that they could have the minerals and the oil and the gas and the gold and the diamonds from all around the world, from all around the global South, when colonized people were the ones digging those resources out of the earth for them, and then they themselves got buried in those same holes. That was the bargain. That was the deal that your ancestors made. You know, everyone thinks or everyone says that America was built on stolen land by stolen labor. Yes, but I'm telling you that there's no such thing as stolen land. There's no such thing as stolen labor. There's only borrowed land. There's borrowed labor, and eventually you're going to have to pay for it. And your payment is coming due. There's no fix. Because when you think about trying to fix things, what you really mean is trying to figure out how to put off the inevitable consequences, and that's not going to happen. You can forget about that. You can't vote your way out. You can't policy your way out. You can't march or protest your way out. You can't virtue signal your way out. You can't even reparations your way out. The bill is due and payment will be taken one way or another. And as I say, payment is already being taken right now. I'm telling you, the fate of America is sealed. And it was sealed over 400 years ago. You're just now reaching the end of that contract. You know, I said some time ago that Trump was actually hated in America and Europe during his first administration, everyone knows. But he was actually popular in the global south. Around the rest of the world, people liked Trump. Arabs liked him, Asians, Africans, South Americans generally. Generally speaking, he was actually popular with the countries in the global south. Even China likes him, despite the performative rivalry. And I'll tell you why. Because we all recognize that he is the embodiment of the devil's due. Trump being appointed over the United States signaled to the rest of us the end of American empire. Now, don't blame him for that. Like I said, it isn't happening because of Trump. Trump just proves that it's happening. Trump is just a big orange final notice for payment due. That's what he is. And he's overseeing the dismantling of the American-centric world order. The walls are closing around America. And the demons are descending down into those, between those walls to loot and to pillage anything and everything and anyone and everyone in that land. And I'm not saying this spitefully, and I'm not saying it hatefully, and I'm not trying to rub it in, and I'm not trying to gloat. You understand? I'm not trying to insult you, but you need to understand this was always going to happen, and they have not prepared you for it. They have lied to you about what's going on. They've lied to you about your country. They lied to you about your history. They lied to you about who they are. They lied to you about what they are. They lied to you about how they have been, so that you couldn't see what was coming. You couldn't see this coming. In fact, most of you still can't see it coming, even though it's upon you already. And that's unfair. To me, I find that unfair. It's unfair to you.
So guys, that is Shahid Bolsen once again, and he's not new to our channel. He's one of your favorite and most watched humans on my channel. And I do notice that you guys really like buy the idea of what he says. You love how he speaks, you know. He speaks with a lot of no fear, no worries of being judged. You know, he just says it as it is. He speaks his mind and he's eloquent at it. So that is what he has to say about America and the things that Americans have done in the past. And he's just reminding them that you do not go scot-free after doing certain things. When you have made people go through a lot of things, you have oppressed Black people, you have made these people, their lives distorted for quite some time. You do not expect that you're going to go scot-free after that. You should be well aware that everything that you do has consequences, and America should be, bracing themselves because, and when I'm talking about America, I'm talking about white people, not all white people, but white people. They should brace themselves knowing well that everything that they have done in the past, their past is ugly, yeah? The things that they have made Black people go through, a lot of ugly things, and he has mentioned some of them. They should brace themselves because even if you are talking about God, and I love God, but I will speak the same way as Shahid Bolsen has said. You do not expect to do all these things to a certain race and then expect that that is the same God that is going to bless you. Yeah, you have not made it right to those people, and if in fact there's even no better way to make it right to Black people. One thing that we have talked about here is reparations. They have failed to do it. They do not want to do it, and seemingly they're never going to do it. So that is one thing that shows that these people are actually not ready for any amends with Black people. Now, you do not do God's people like this. You do not treat them the way that you have treated black people, and then expect that God is going to work for you. And it's just the same way that Bolsen has said, you cannot say God bless America and these are the things that you have done, all those atrocities that you have not taken accountability for, all those things that you have done and not made right with the people that were affected, and then you expect that this same God is going to bless you and help you and your things to run smooth. It doesn't work that way, because these people that you've hurt, they're also God's people. In fact, they're God's people. They're the chosen ones. Now, if you're going to hurt that kind of people, you better expect that your things are not going to run okay. Look at America and the things that are happening right now. You know, former President Barack Obama actually mentioned recently in a video that we have done and watched recently on this channel, that he can no longer, he cannot even make sense of America anymore, because he loves America. He has loved America for a very long time, but since the reign of President Trump, he's unable to believe that this is the America that he used to love. Everything has changed. Things are not working right. There's a lot of things that are going wrong in every direction, and there's a lot of chaos in America right now. Look at the people, look at all the videos of people crying. That is abnormal. That is not something that has been happening to America in the recent past. Those were things that you did not expect. You would expect from anywhere, any part of the world, maybe Africa, maybe any other countries, but not America, yeah? Now, happens that after everything that they have done, not apologized, not made amends, not made anything right, not talked about it, not made people feel that they actually are sorry about the atrocities that they have done to black people. They are the same people that are going to God and talking about God blessing America. God does not work that way. We might not have seen God, we might not have encountered Him in physical, but we do know that if He really is God, He doesn't work that way. Yeah. He cannot bless people that are continuously using their blessings to hurt other people. Yeah. I think I should pardon you on that. God does not bless you so that you can use that blessing to hurt other people. And that is exactly what white people have done. God has given you everything that He has given you, but you have made sure that all that you have used it to hurt other people, to hurt God's people. We are all God's people. Now, when you do that, God withdraws from your case for a minute. He looks at you and thinks, you do not deserve any more blessings. And even the little that you have, He will take it away from you. That is how God works. If you have been keen with even your own life, you can bear witness from your own life. Anytime that you have used your blessings to hurt someone else, it is taken away from you. That is what white people do not know. I don't know if they don't know or they just choose not to understand. They keep hurting black people. They keep doing things that will hurt black people, and no remorse about it. They do not feel sorry about it. It's almost like a routine. It's almost like for them that is okay and normal. They have normalized hurting black people to the extent that sometimes they don't even notice that they are doing that. Look at the case of racism, for example. Why are we still talking about racism in 2026? Why are we still discussing this? Because they have refused to change. They have refused to make a deliberate decision to just change, because they know how to change. They know how to manipulate the system so that racism goes away. It's as simple as even starting with the school structure, the school curriculum, and all those things that they make the kids to interact with, the information that they give their children, making laws that are against racism, so that anyone that is found guilty of racism is charged. And people will be afraid of that. People do not want to go to jail, so they will be careful with how they speak. Even this that we keep saying here is internalized racism. It's only because there is no punishment for it. That's why they keep, talking about we are unable to not do it because it's internalized. It's not internalized. If you think about it clearly, If there was repercussions, if there was something that would happen to you and it's bad, they would not do it. Trust me, they would not do it. Yeah. So that is what white people need to be pondering about. They need to be thinking about these things, because if they do not change, if they do not act on all these things that we keep mentioning here day by day, and make a choice to just change and to make a difference in their lives and the lives of their children, then things will remain the same, pretty much the same, and this is going to hurt them more than it will hurt anyone. More than it will hurt black people, more than it will hurt anyone else, it will hurt white people more. They need to figure out how they're going to curb this, how they're going to solve it, how they're going to talk to their own people to make changes, because they cannot keep going on like this. And one thing is for sure, if they continue doing this, America is going to dip even more. It's just going to dip and dip and dip, because that is what happens to you when you harass and oppress and do all those evil things to other people. There's no blessing in hurting others. There's no blessing in hurting others. Yeah. You will have everything that you probably think is materially okay, that will make you feel rich, that will make you feel thin, but God that gives peace will not give you peace. Sorry guys, I started preaching, but it's just sometimes things are just, you don't even know what to say about them when they are really hurtful. But yeah, I hope that you're keeping safe from wherever you're watching me from. um if you have not subscribed to my channel, kindly consider doing that right now. I will see you on my next video, guys. Bye for now.